Welcome to our board meeting. If you'd all join us in the Pledge of Allegiance, we'll begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Again, welcome. This is our October board meeting. Normally we have recognitions and things like that, but we don't have any of those tonight, so we'll just move right on through. Our 7.0 agenda item is additions, corrections, and/or modifications. Those include 7.01 addendum to agenda item 11.07, approval of personnel items. Next up already is public comment. It's during this time that we provide an opportunity for citizen statements in an effort to maintain an open and respectful dialogue with our community. The public comment session is not the appropriate forum for addressing individually identifiable student and/or personnel matters. Therefore, due to privacy laws protecting students and employees, comments about these matters should not include personally identifiable information about particular students or employees. Members of the public, staff, and students are encouraged to utilize established policies and procedures for offering suggestions or addressing concerns and complaints prior to bringing the issue before the board. Please be mindful that the meetings of the board, including your statements here at the podium, are broadcast and that you are responsible for any public comments you make. In lieu of a public statement, you may choose to submit your comments to the board in writing. Also, due to time constraints and the need to complete the primary responsibilities of our meeting agenda, we cannot respond during the meeting, so you will receive a response from us in writing. We're always available to have an open dialogue outside of our meetings and can be reached by email or phone using the contact information on Parkway's website. I will call on speakers in order that they have signed up. And before you speak, I would just ask that you state your name and your relation to or with Parkway. And in fairness to our speakers and keep the meeting running as efficiently as possible, I ask the audience to refrain from applause after each individual speaker. Tonight, I believe we have six speakers. You'll each have 3 minutes once you get up here to the podium, and I'll try and give you a heads up who's next, except for the first person, Liz Kenner. Liz will be followed by Nikki Sagona and then Emily Mueller. Come on up.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity to be here tonight to advocate for our EC community. My name is Liz Kenner, and this is my 10th year as a member of our Parkway Early Childhood Leadership Team as an ECSE Special Education Coordinator. While the adorable smiles and the contagious laughter of our littles are quite the perk of being part of early childhood, our passion is built on supporting families and preparing each student to be ready for kindergarten in their own very unique ways. The research is consistent. For every dollar we spend in early childhood front-loading, addressing trauma, providing instructional and behavioral interventions, school age receives a cost savings of $9 to $12 of interventions and possible future special education needs. Families seek out Parkway Early Childhood because we serve students across our general education preschool programs, regardless of financial barriers, student behaviors, medical diagnoses, physical abilities, and this should be celebrated. This level of accessibility to families is not consistently observed across St. Louis County. Discussions and demographic studies started more than 10 years ago. The data outcomes stated that early childhood needed to expand. Our preschool programs continue to only serve about 10% of our incoming kindergartners each school year, yet more families want access. With a vote of 77% in favor, the community agreed that a center was required and hired a team of professionals and spent more than $750,000 to make this beautiful center become a reality. Parkway has the opportunity to be a leader in what the continuum of early childhood programs should be, and the community agrees. Parkway could prepare more than 10% of students to be ready for kindergarten in our preschool programs if we expanded, and the community agrees. Each additional year, we delayed the hard decisions reduces our opportunity to expand our footprint in early childhood as leaders who believe in the research, who honor the voices of the community to the best extent possible, and serve students. Thank you for continuing to value the importance of early childhood and working with us to take meaningful actions to show our community what value looks like. Thank you.
Next up is Nikki Sagona.
Hello, my name is Nikki Sagona, and I've been serving our youngest learners as an occupational therapist in Parkway Early Childhood for the past 16 years. Our Early Childhood Steering Committee has thoroughly studied the needs of our students, and we need to expand access for our students and families. We need facilities that are designed to meet the needs of early childhood students and programs. Our early childhood facilities need to be designed to meet the needs of very young students. This means bathrooms located in classrooms with the correct size toilets and sinks, and direct access to fenced-in areas with accessible play spaces. We waste 15 to 20 minutes transitioning our students through our buildings. Most of the spaces we are given to do therapy aren't conducive to fostering a quiet environment free of distractions for our preschoolers to learn. We are forced to travel across multiple sites, carrying around a bag full of equipment to provide therapy for our students in small closets, spaces, or hallways. A new center would mean that a therapist could have a majority of their caseload in a single building and wouldn't waste time traveling around the district. This would increase the amount of children that can be seen due to many of them being housed in this new center. Our classrooms should not be isolated and need to be center-based. We are spread out in 8 different sites, but when we need support for a student with challenging behaviors, support staff are often 30 minutes away from being able to help in a crisis. Finally, we need to significantly expand opportunities for our early learners. With all the research available, it is shocking that in an affluent district, we have not prioritized early childhood. Rockwood already has 3 large centers that are solely dedicated to early childhood. The larger community voted in favor of a South Center dedicated to early childhood. We have already had time designing this center. How much time will we continue to waste, and how many children will not receive the support they need during that time? Please do not let politics get in the way of what is best for our children. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up is Emily Mueller, who will be followed by Kaylin Dossett and Lisa Sandberg.
Good evening. My name is Emily Miller. I am a Parkway resident and the proud mom to Frankie and Rosie. Frankie currently attends the Early Childhood Center, and she proudly shares, I go to Panda School. Panda School is everything I hoped it would be, and Frankie is thriving. Rosie is also thriving, but not at Panda School. Unfortunately, she was waitlisted. Despite the obvious burden this creates, I want to be clear that Rosie is also thriving because our family has the financial means, resources, and access to provide her with high-quality care. Although I wish my girls could experience Panda School together, that is not why I am here advocating for the continuation of construction on the Early Childhood Center. I am here to pose a question that I genuinely hope you will consider with deep pause. When we say no to continuing the development of a new center, are we creating intensified hardship for families already bearing the brunt of inequity? The answer, in my mind, is yes. Specifically, we are reinforcing distress for our families who are masters of another language and students of color. Attending preschool supports our most marginalized students by laying the foundation for their academic success and lifelong development. Preschool provides a nurturing and language-rich environment. The construction of a new center will address the critical need to offer high-quality care, additional space, and affordable rates to students whose families already bear the brunt of inequity. I have one last question for you. Who does the decision to stop construction serve? Thank you for listening.
Thank you. Next up is Kaylin Dossett.
Hi, my name is Kaylin Dossett, and I'm a kindergarten teacher at Sorrento Springs Elementary. I would like to start by thanking everyone for allowing me to speak this evening. I'm here to advocate for more early childhood classrooms in our district. As a kindergarten teacher, I see a noticeable difference in the students that come to kindergarten from Parkway Early Childhood's program compared to the students who attend other early childhood programs or daycares. Often the students who come from Parkway Early Childhood's program are able to self-regulate, make friends, problem solve independently, stay focused on tasks, take ownership of their learning, and are curious and creative learners. It is my hope as a kindergarten teacher that all students are able to attend Parkway's Early Childhood program. An additional early childhood center being built would open more opportunities for students to attend a quality early childhood program. Parkway's Early Childhood program takes a constructive play-based approach to teaching. In their curriculum, they allow for student voice and choice, fostering the skills that students need to be successful in today's world. The teachers truly dedicate their work to teaching students in the way that they learn best. In addition, there has been extensive research to prove the benefits of outdoor learning. These benefits include improved mental and physical health, improved social emotional skills, improved focus, and increased activity and opportunities for imaginative play, making another early childhood center that much more powerful. While I understand that there are concerns, it is my belief that the benefits outweigh the negatives, as it is the success of our students that we're taking into consideration. Allowing for an additional early childhood center to be built in our district offers more opportunities for students to be set up for success and therefore excel when entering kindergarten. Thank you.
Next up is Lisa Sandberg, followed by Elena Emerald.
Good evening. Thank you very much for allowing me to speak here tonight. My name is Lisa Sandberg, and I am a Parkway resident and a working mother, as you can tell. My son is in his 3rd year as a Parkway Panda, and we are truly grateful to be a part of this community. An overwhelming number of our community's students have been previously kicked out of daycares, childcares, and preschools due to challenging behaviors, and parents are out of options. I was on the verge of experiencing this, believe it or not, firsthand, as a mother to my loving son, who has a history of a communication delay, where he attended a different childcare before Parkway. Parkway Early Childhood takes all children and love them and help them feel safe and connected while preparing them for kindergarten, where Lewis is going to be next year. My son is direct proof of this. Parkway does not kick students out. They offer free and reduced tuition. Parkway Early Childhood serves the at-risk community like no other, and this is how they prevent achievement gaps and guarantee a strong foundation and an equal playing field. The urgent need for this new center is glaring, and the full wait list is proof of that. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next up is Elena Emerald.
Good evening. My name is Elena Emerald, and I'm honored to serve as the Director of Early Learning for Parkway, representing the 12,156 children ages 0 to 5 and their families in our district. I wish you could experience what we see every day. Loving, dedicated professionals, helping children take their first steps, form friendships, and learn to self-regulate. Our classrooms are full of joyful, curious, caring, and confident children, thriving in safe, nurturing environments. However, there's a growing challenge that we have yet to address. Despite the need, we're serving less than 10% of our district's 3 to 5-year-olds in our preschool classrooms. We have a nationwide child care shortage, with the 63021 zip code being designated a child care desert, with only 1 slot available per 4 children. For years, families have waited for more opportunities, And every year we delay expansion means turning away families who desperately need our support. We serve as a lifeline for our at-risk children, offering reduced tuition and taking on children with significant developmental disabilities and challenging behaviors. We serve all. Research shows that high-quality early education has a profound lifelong impact and cost savings to our community. We prevent achievement gaps before they occur. Our Early Childhood Steering Committee has studied this for 15 years, and we continue to recommend the same 3 things. Shift to center-based facilities, design centers specifically to meet the needs of early childhood students and programs, and expand preschool access. Our children deserve facilities that are accessible and conducive to their needs. Families have waited long enough, and the larger community supported the need with their votes in 2022. Let's be the community that rises above division, works together to develop solutions, and prioritizes our youngest children. We have the resources, we have the plans, and the support from voters. Let's seize this opportunity to make a real difference. I'd like to acknowledge and thank our early childhood community stakeholders here this evening in support of our cause. If you could please stand and be recognized. Thank you for your commitment to our children and families.
Thank you. All right. Again, thank you everyone for your comments. Those who spoke will receive a response from us in writing. Next up, may I have a motion and a second to approve the agenda for the regular meeting of the Board of Education as scheduled for October 9th, 2024?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Next regular board meeting will take place on Wednesday, November 13th, 2024, beginning at 7 p.m. here at the Parkway Welcome Center. Next up is board and superintendent reports. Matt, you want to start us off?
Sure. I do. Thanks to all the speakers for coming out tonight. As you walk out. Actually, I'm going to reference one of you guys too in a second, but I just want to share one thing that yesterday I attended a forum for the Missouri Department of Conservation, and the overall theme was the fact that our kids are not getting out in nature enough. And just the fact that with electronics, different approaches to how we let our kids wander the neighborhood, the kids are not getting outside enough. And I just want to really kind of thank Parkway for really putting emphasis on outdoor education. 6th grade camp, most of the schools have some type of outdoor learning piece. I will say I'm going to probably be an advocate going forward to actually kind of push a little more, to get more outdoor education pieces at all the schools we have, at all levels. And just the fact that one of the speakers did mention the fact that for outdoor education, you're getting the education, but you're also getting the physical activity, you're also getting the mental health aspects of that too. So I really want to kind of see Parkway going forward to really kind of take what we have right now, be thankful for it, but also push it further into the future. That's all.
I also want to thank the speakers, even though they're no longer here. Not much. I mean, we were here 2 weeks ago. Since then, I was a part of an operations HR subcommittee with Mr. Seltzer, where we talked about transportation targeted review that we'll hear about later tonight. We also discussed some other issues going on and how to combat things from an operational HR perspective. Other than that, it's been a good 2 weeks, very busy things coming soon. I know the board will agree, we've got a pretty heavy load coming for the next couple of weeks, months. But it's definitely things that are going to benefit the district, so stay tuned.
Let's see, last Saturday I got to participate in a program that I really, really enjoyed. It was at the St. Louis City Museum. It was put on for the benefit of participants in the VICC program, which is essentially the Voluntary Interdistrict Choice Program, which allows students in the intercity of St. Louis and the urban areas to come to suburban schools, and Parkway is a participant in this. Now, this program is no longer being funded moving forward because of judicial decisions, but all students currently in it will continue to be in the program if they'd like all the way through their graduation. So since some kids are in first grade now, that's still another several years. And the program was essentially to bring everyone together. Participants were invited, their families were invited. The Parkway administration and resources put on a lot of information so that everybody knew how the program worked. It really created a great feeling of community, and all the kids had a lot of fun at the museum, which is a great place, a St. Louis institution. Additionally, the championship, national champion, I mean, for all I know, international champion, Parkway step team performed. And I think almost all of my colleagues here on the board have seen this. I haven't seen them yet until that day, and it was just absolutely phenomenal. I mean, it was an entertainment experience which sort of transcends many different things that I found to be quite enjoyable. So I'd encourage anyone to go and see our step team perform if they get the chance. So, thank you.
Good evening, everyone. So I don't have too many board reports specific, but I do have a few comments regarding mental health. We all know that in our world today, there are a lot of stresses, a lot of pressures, and we at Parkway understand that, and we have really worked to increase our mental health program and advocacy, and added additional mental health specialists to the various schools. Tomorrow is actually World Mental Health Day. If you can just take some time to just learn a little bit more about how to encourage those around you, yourself, in the various stresses so that you can make sure that you are mentally well as we go through the various seasons that we're going through with weather, elections, just everyday life. So I would just encourage you to do that, and I just want to thank Parkway for continuing to push that effort amongst our students and staff.
Yeah, as some of my colleagues mentioned, it's only been 2 weeks since the last board meeting, so not a ton to comment on, other than the Operations and HR Subcommittee meeting, and I could talk about that all night, but I don't think we have the room long enough to really get into it. But it was a productive meeting. I always enjoy those opportunities to talk in small groups and learn even more about what we're doing and hopefully help out in some way. But then I'd also like to ask everyone to join me in wishing a happy birthday to Tiffany Matt Franklin, who's celebrating tonight with a school board meeting. I don't think I'm allowed to make everybody sing. Debbie?
Thank you. Well, first of all, I just want to extend some thoughts and time for reflecting on the people in Florida right now that are going through this horrible hurricane. I'm sure we all know somebody that either lives there or works there. And talking about stresses, my daughter was even physically emotional tonight watching some TikTok videos that were showing how people are preparing their farm animals and pets, painting their phone numbers and the names on them in case they survive. So anyway, our thoughts need to go out to people tonight that are preparing for this devastation. I did attend the Mayor's Cup a couple of weeks ago, which was actually the West High very rainy homecoming game against Central High, and West High did win that performance, that game. Mayor Bob Nation from Chesterfield is his thing, and he was in attendance along with Mr. Hurd, the alderman in Chesterfield. So it was a lot of fun to be a part of that and just see how all of our students are still, even though it's a rainy, dreary night, they're out there performing, whether it was with the band, the cheer squad, the football players, and all the parents that were rooting everyone on. I also had an occasion to actually tour. I met and I wanted to thank Dr. Elena Emerow for touring me to some of the early childhood locations. As was mentioned tonight, there are 8 different locations, and even though I've been on the board for somewhat of a long time, I had not seen every single one. And so not realizing that there are individual classrooms in one of our high schools, Central High, for example, and I had not seen that. And I've seen, the way the parents have to bring their child into that classroom and the kind of playgrounds and things that they have. All that to say, it was eye-opening, and I look forward to the time where we're going to make this ECC bigger, better plan than what I think was originally there. So with time and patience, we will get there, and look forward to the opportunity to continue to serve more and more early learners. We should be we are so fortunate and thankful to the early childhood educators that we have and the special school district educators that we have, helping these young learners to become wonderful students in the future, and to see all that special help that they're getting it is very amazing. So I look forward to continuing this conversation. Yesterday, I had the privilege of joining Parkway hosting the Missouri State Commissioner of Education, Dr. Carla Eslinger, and she was in here with 3 State Board of Education members, Kim Bailey, Carrie Casey, and Pamela Westbrooks Hodge, and to acknowledge our Superintendent's Action team members and Dr. Marty for hosting this event. It was wonderful to have them actually here within our district. They spend some time here in the morning talking with the Superintendent's Action team on matters pertaining to safety and security, our strategic plan with teaching, learning, and accountability, Dr. Beckner, Tiffany Holman-Bess, Greg Matheson on student services, Dr. Michael Bogus with our HR group, Ms. Carrie Nunn, our CFO, and Elisa Tomich from communications. So they just represented Parkway very well on talking about our strategic plan and the efforts that are going on here. And they were very complimentary of the strategic plan, the process that we went through with Project Parkway. Then we had the Student Services Department, Dr. Greg Matheson with Sherry Majway, Dr. Aaron Schulte, Dr. Greg Wagner, and Mr. Mike Christian from Security to talk about mental health and the safety and security that's going on within the Parkway School District. Again, very impressive efforts, and everybody did a fabulous job welcoming them and showing them all that Parkway has to offer. And then from there, they took a tour of the new Spark location, but our Spark program. I was not in attendance at that. I did the handoff to Mr. Todd. And so it was just a wonderful experience to have these individuals who represent the state of Missouri education system to be here to see everything that Parkway does. So, thank you.
Yeah, so I'll jump right on that. I met Dr. Esslinger over at Spark, along with the other state board members, and they had an opportunity to hear from a panel of students, Spark students who are involved in different strands from bioscience to education strands and a number of others. And I said this yesterday morning, of all the times that I've been in classrooms and watching Parkway students do some amazing things, I was just beyond impressed at the words that our students spoke yesterday in describing their experiences in Parkway, specifically with Spark, but even beyond Spark, the experiences that they've had as students getting up to now their junior and senior years. And we had a couple of students who have already graduated who came back to be mentors to some of these younger students. There was a student who graduated, a year ago, and from high school, and he's now a software engineer at MasterCard, and he's doing amazing things. So it was really humbling to see how much they're getting out of that program and what that means to them. I'll also mention our Alliance for Healthy Communities group met just last week. They were involved, or I'm not sure, I think we're just about finished with all of our homecomings, but they have one more. But they've been involved in safe practices around homecoming festivities, getting that word out. They also have play a role in helping distribute information to all area pharmacies for the DEA, the National DEA Drug Take Back Day. That's coming up on October 26th. They still need some volunteers to help distribute some of those to different pharmacies. So if you're interested, let me know and I can get you some information. It's a real simple operation to do. But and then last night I got the opportunity, the privilege to speak to a group of fourth graders at Hannah Elementary, a group of Cub Scouts that were learning about citizenship in their community. And we talked a lot about how to volunteer in your community, how to become elected and serve on a school board and what that work means. They had some great questions, and they mostly reported that school lunches are good. So I got some additional feedback outside of school board-related things. But and then next week, I'll give you a little precursor. A few of us are going up to Kansas City for the annual MSBA conference. Missouri School Boards Association will get to partner with lots of different school board members from across the state and share things about what are happening in their schools, things that are working, things that they see as challenges, and how we can learn from each other. And there's always a wide variety of groups that are presenting different things, best practices in different areas. And so we look forward to learning everything we can and bringing it back here and seeing how we can continuing to improve Parkway. So that's about all I have.
You really covered everything I would say. Just I'll reinforce, going back to Rob's comments, great day with the voluntary transfer program, Vic Day at the City Museum, we call it. Cartelia Lucas and her staff really deserve a lot of appreciation, as well as Rob mentioned, a number of people from our administrative team were there to present, and the STEP team was great. I agree with Rob. We are so blessed to have that team representing Parkway. And then yesterday's visit, as was reported, was just marvelous. And one of the real rewards, I think, is, and I think our superintendent's action team would agree, is to present some of our programs, including the students at Spark and the facilitators at Spark, and Greg's team and all of us, Tiffany and Kevin, the strategic plan, and get just wonderful feedback. I think it's great, and I got some really great notes today from the three board members and Carla, thanking us and really taking a lot away. So it was a great opportunity for us to showcase, and I think they're going to call on some of our folks for some of their further work in some of those key areas, mental health being among them, and safety and security. It's been a couple weeks, but I did go over and be part of Angie Pappas-Moika's recognition as an upcoming new secretary administrator. Was at Columbia, and it was a great. I was there for luncheon, and the governor was there to salute all the recipients. Fall break is on the horizon, and I just want to say that Dr. Bogus and the calendar committee have worked really hard, I think, to consider, and I remember when we talked about this a couple years ago, right now we're 8 weeks into the school year, and I think it's a little break is good. We talk about mental health, just some time away, and so keep up the good work on the calendar committee, because I do think sometimes it's a long stretch, and I think and I think we, adults, as much as students, need a little bit of break. So I'm hoping that they'll kind of retool us as we get ready for the final stretch before the Thanksgiving and holiday season coming up. It's been a great school year thus far, and hope everybody enjoys that. And I will also just comment, we've had Corey Johnson, who's every couple days will give me great reports about what's going on in athletics. I also will tell you that the swim club is going well. Our joint effort now with the swim club and Rockwood is going very smoothly, and we have great numbers. We met with Mike Seppi, and so the concern that we had, it seems to be working well, and parents are coming to the realization that this is going to work out, I believe, for their students, their children, in terms of the community ed, now the umbrella for the program. So thanks so much for your work, board, and your support. It's been as was mentioned, it's busy, and it's going to get busier. Thanks much.
Thank you. At this time, we'd like to thank everyone who has participated in the online community survey to help us define the characteristics, skills, and qualities needed in Parkway's next superintendent. Survey closed on September 28th. We got a lot of great feedback. Our national search firm Hazard Young, Attia and Associates, who are here tonight, some representatives, will present to us later this evening regarding that draft leadership profile. The leadership profile will help identify potential candidates, and the firm plans to screen those candidates here in the next few weeks. Next up is our consent agenda. We've all had an opportunity to review that. So at this time, may I have a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented in the October 9th, 2024 board materials?
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Is there anything to be pulled to action or closed? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay. Motion carries 7-0. Next up, speaking of superintendent search, I'd like to invite Dr. Calvin Adams, Peter Flynn, and Chris Nicastro, all associates of HYA, to make a presentation.
First of all, good afternoon, good evening to the board and to the guests that are present and to the community who is watching our video. We are here tonight to present the leadership profile, as already been indicated, on behalf of Hazard Young, Attia and Associates. And he gave me a tutor session on how to do it, and I still messed it up. There you go. For those persons who don't know who we are, my name is Calvin Adams, former superintendent of the St. Louis Public School District. We have with us as well Chris Nicastro, former superintendent of Riverview and Hazelwood and Commissioner of Education, and Peter Flynn, who is a former superintendent, 34 years in 4 different states, Iowa, Kentucky, Illinois, as well as Pennsylvania. And so we're here tonight to present the profile as already been indicated. So first and foremost, what we want to try to do tonight over the next 15 or 20 minutes is to help the board understand and the public as well the steps that were taken to get to this point. In terms of presenting the leadership profile, it will be based on our extensive engagement of the Parkway School District and its community through the use of research-based surveys and meetings that have taken place. Steps to the leadership profile report, survey meetings, and approval process and desired characteristics. We have studied continuously all of the public information that's available relative to the Parkway at the invitation of the board president, as well as staff, President, Superintendent Marty, as well as Nikki Stover, Elise Thomas, and Annie Dickerson has worked with us as well in terms of extending those invitations. We have had interviews and meetings that were scheduled for September 5th, 6th, 16th, and 17th. We also opened the survey, as already been indicated, from the 9th of September to the 28th of September. The results, the leadership profile, as you can see the data before you, some 1,243 persons participated in the leadership survey online. The numbers, as you can see before you, 53.3%, the largest percentage were parents. The second largest percentage was teachers and certified staff with 287, 23.1%. And the third largest were students, 127 or 10.2%. The smaller numbers were operations, community, and administrators, obviously tallying 100% and 1,243 participants. The board gave their slot up such that the students could have an opportunity to participate in the survey and have their data captured as well. So I want to thank the board for taking that step. Leadership profile, state of the district survey, all online. I won't necessarily read all of it to you, but technology was integrated into the classroom was one of the things that came out. TL means teacher, teaching and learning. The district also provides a clear, compelling, shared vision of the future, vision and value, and administrators and support staff are in the school, that's management. And lastly, the district technology infrastructure is sufficient management. District schools are safe teaching and learning. And so the areas that are in bold are exactly the same areas that the board picked as well as those areas that were aligned. The state of the district survey that was done by the board, the district is headed in the right direction. These are all comments coming from the Board of Education. The district has high standards for student performance. The district provides a well-rounded educational experience. Students are on track to be college and career ready. The district engages the community as partners to improve the school district, the school system. The district is fiscally responsible, and employees are held accountable to high standards. In addition, all 7 board members choose the 7 strengths depicted on this slide. So it was consistent across the board in terms of these things being lifted up. The last slide that I'll present to you before Dr. Castro will come, the 12 superintendent competency statements were in the same 4 categories as used in the state of the district. Vision, number 1, foster a positive professional climate. Won't read all of it, as I said before, community engagement, recruit, employ, and retain effective personnel throughout the district, management, establish a culture of high expectations for all students and personnel, provide transparent communication, community engagement, understand and be sensitive to the needs of a diverse student population, teaching and learning. The last one at the bottom, one of the competencies was selected overall by the board, which is be visible throughout the district and actively engage in the community life. This was lifted up as one of the competencies that the board wants to see in place for the new person coming on as superintendent. At this point in time, I'll turn it over to Dr. Krista Castro.
Good evening. It's a pleasure to see all of you again. I get to talk about the listening sessions that we had. We had a number of listening sessions with various groups in your district and had a great 2 days meeting with everyone. You can see on the screen the numbers for the listening sessions, some of which were one-on-one interviews, as those that we did with all of you, as well as some of the administrators, and some were group interviews. Okay. Is there a secret? Oh, there we go. Thank you. All the listening sessions were conducted in the same way and addressed the same questions. The amount of time spent on each of the questions varied from group to group. We asked everyone to describe this district's strengths, the challenges facing the district, particularly in the next 5 years, and we also asked them to weigh in on the characteristics of the next superintendent. We then asked them what the community offers to attract candidates, why apply to Parkway, and the names of any candidates that came to mind, people they thought would be good applicants for the position. Under strengths, the increasing diversity of the district was cited as a major strength, as was the community. The community was mentioned frequently by all the groups, particularly the connections and relationships between the schools, the district, and the community in the form of support and partnerships. We heard about the staff of the district. People described generally and with specific examples the excellence of administrators and certified staff. They mentioned too the operational staff, who were described to us as helpful, dedicated, talented, and skilled. We were informed about the outstanding academic and student success that is reflected in high graduation rates, low dropout rates, high ACT and test scores. And we frequently heard about the good stewardship of school district funds, which allowed people to characterize the district as financially sound. The board was noted for stability, cohesiveness, setting excellent policies, and setting a tone of cooperation without controversy while working in a collaborative relationship with the superintendent. Quite an accolade for all of you. The good news about the challenges was that the list was much shorter than that of the strengths. The first challenge was the age of the district buildings and the need to continue to address the district's aging facilities. Many are in need of continual repair, upgrades, and in some cases, people believe the new buildings will be needed. Second, related to diversity, we were told about the urgency of meeting the needs of all students as the district embraces its changing population. Third, we heard about staff shortages, and I think we've talked about, all of us have talked about that a lot. And finally, we were told of what was perceived by some as a lack of educational consistency between schools, including materials, books, platform, and curriculum. Under desired characteristics of the superintendent, we asked participants to list the characteristics desirable in three areas. We asked about attitude, or attributes, what a person brings to the situation because of who they are. We asked about expertise and experience. That speaks to what they're good at, what successful experience they've had, which resulted in student success. And finally, we asked about administrative style. What is the approach that would best work in Parkway right now? You'll remember that we had 7 categories of people with whom we had conversations. The categories were administrators, board members, community, operations staff, parents, students, and certified staff. In those conversations, we made note of those characteristics people felt were most critical of the school district at this point in time and moving forward. In order to get on the final list, a trait or characteristic had to be mentioned as critical in 2 or more categories. Here are the attributes mentioned most frequently as critical: innovator, student-focused, and strategic thinker. When we asked about expertise and experience, we were told the following were the most important. First was communicator, someone who listens actively and speaks articulately about the school district and the community. A leader who has worked in a larger district and is experienced with diverse populations, including race, socioeconomic status, language, and so forth. And finally, experience working at different levels of responsibility in a school district, from teacher to principal to central office. When asked about administrative style, people in all categories wanted someone visible in the schools and in the community, not only just showing up, but being approachable. Secondly, someone who could use those good listening skills to validate the ideas of hardworking staff. And finally, someone who works collaboratively to make decisions and build teams. And I'll turn it over to Peter Flynn.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Kelvin. So we took all the data that we received from the survey and added to that the comments that rose to the top across the 7 groups. And our task was then to consider how to put that together into a relatively small document, which you have on the last page of the report that we shared with you. And as you can see, we took those 6 competencies. The 5 were chosen by the total group that took the survey. We thought it was important to point out the ones that the board also chose, and then add to that the one that the board chose, because the board had 4 that rose to the top of when all 7 board members took the survey. Took the survey. And the last one is good because it kind of rounds things out, and it has some credibility because it reflects what was chosen in the listening sessions as well, that somebody is visible and actively engaged in community life. So we think that this makes a really good list of competencies, and it's reflected by the work that was done by the people that participated. Almost 1,400 people participated, give or take, because we know that some people took both the survey and participated in the listening session. Then here were the 11 characteristics that rose to the top in terms of the listening session. And Chris has gone over those for you. So we took all of those and put them together and tried to develop a little narrative. And for those of you that are looking on the screen, I guess you can see it fairly well. There are a few copies of the total document of the last page. But as you can see, what we've done here is include on this particular 2-paragraph view the importance of somebody having different levels, experience on different levels in a larger, diverse school district, and that they have demonstrated success in both the area of student achievement and fiscal responsibility. And then, as Chris pointed out, the communicator skills, being an innovator, and working collaboratively. So not only listening, but then participating in the decision-making process. The next two paragraphs show that visible and approachable. That one, by the way, as I pointed out, it shows up both in the competencies as well as in the listening sessions. That showed up in all 7 of the groups of listening sessions, which was interesting. And then next, to build teams, to be a strategic thinker, and to always have a student focus. To be a decisive person, to lead in diversity, and then with a particular emphasis on human relations and student achievement. So that's what we put together, and then we made a little introductory statement there to the end when we put together the list of 6 competencies, and it says it seeks the superintendent with a record of demonstrating the following competencies. So you now have that, and here it is all on one page, and this one I really apologize for because the font is so small, but that's the one that's on the single page, and the board's been given the single page. And what we'd like to ask to begin with is, as you look through this, and you saw this ahead of time, was there something that you were hoping would be in this document that didn't make it into the document that you think is important to have as a reflection of what the board is seeking in its next superintendent?
I'll just raise one, one thought that I had about this. We can have open discussion about it, is this notion or idea of professional integrity. It's implied in being successful in this position, and I think we've had an example of that in Dr. Marty over the many years we've had. He's exemplified professional integrity in a lot of things that he does. So I guess instead of it being sort of underline of the things that it takes to be successful or to exhibit these competencies, should we specifically state that we have an expectation that professional integrity is part of making up the attributes or the skills and competencies of our next superintendent?
I'll just add, I'm not opposed to that. I think you're right, it is implied. I don't know that we would get to this point with any candidate. I don't think we would get to the hiring phase of a candidate if we didn't all feel that that person had professional integrity.
Yeah, I think in order to even achieve these, you have to have it. So if we're gonna have these as competencies, it's kind of implied, because, I mean, I kind of agree with you.
Would you bring forth candidates that didn't have professional integrity?
Good question. I'd hope we would not, but let's just play with the idea for a second of what would happen if, for example, on this last line here, where it says the Parkway School District seeks the superintendent with professional integrity, who has a record of demonstrating the following competencies. If you put something like that in there, it would be upfront. It would be something that we would ask probably a screening interview question about. You might ask a question about it as well. You tend to gravitate toward those things that you say are important and are priorities and are mentioned in this document. So it's up to you as a board to consider that. And I'm trying to evade a direct answer without explaining to you that it's of some benefit to make sure that this document reflects the priorities of the board. And and what's important to you. So it's your decision.
I mean, I think it is important, obviously. The way you phrased it seems like a simple ad. Everybody okay with it?
Yep, yep.
Any other things that you expected to see that you didn't?
No.
Okay.
So we thank you very much for your leadership, not only in the way that you're conducting the search, but also the way that you did the specific tasks of all participating in both the interview and the survey. And we have shared that information back with you through the portal. It'll be in the portal tomorrow, so that you can see the board's tally on that information. But we've highlighted it in this report, the four top areas that the board chose for the competencies for the superintendent.
And I'll just ask board members an alternate question. Is there anything in the character profile that you think shouldn't be there?
Not really, but I do want to remove something here. You have the acronyms here on the bullets, but we never describe what the acronyms are.
Yeah,
The
that's a-
MVVCE.
that's a
If this
good
is the only
point.
thing they're going to see, I just removed those.
Yeah, that's a good point. And you know, in the final draft, would you like us to leave the bolded items in there as bolded items, or, I think that's.
Maybe italicize them?
Pardon?
I think that's fine to leave them bolded.
Leave the
because
bolded ones, but the-
It places emphasis on the really important stuff, so
Great.
I think that's a good idea.
Okay, and then we'll take out the initials following the competencies.
Okay.
And then,
Will the report be made open to the public, to be able to see, or how is that going to work?
Well, this document is.
report is a
has
public
already been
document,
made
yes.
public.
Okay, so this is considered basically the final of what the.
Everything that, yeah.
Now, the only thing that's changed from what's up on the screen is the addition of with professional integrity in the.
Right, which
And
we'll have a final draft uploaded tomorrow.
I just didn't know if it was going to be, if this was just the condensed for the meeting tonight, or if there was going to be like a 20-page document.
This document summarizes what we call the composites from all the different, from the 7 groups. And we have that document that's still being reviewed, actually, and we want to make sure that when that document is finalized, that it doesn't have anything in it that might be unduly disparaging to any individual or any, because we were in a position that we were listening to people and we wanted to be courteous and write down what they were saying, but we want to make sure that it's authentic and it's correct before we suggest to the board that they make the entire document public. And that also will be in the portal for the board's review as of tomorrow. And what we were waiting for was this page, because this is the 10th page of the document. And so this will be merged with the rest of the document and placed in the portal. Yeah. And then, is it something that, then with that correction, is that something that the board can approve?
Yeah, I don't see why not. I will just say that thus far, our experience with HYA and each of you has been nothing short of professional, and we really appreciate the care and the time that you have taken to not only work through all the different focus groups and compile the data from the surveys, but to do it in the timeline that we set forth, because we know it is reasonably aggressive. And we appreciate your attention to that. And I also want to thank you for working so closely and well with Nikki Stover and Elisa and a number of the other people that you have, because I know it hasn't been, it wasn't just a quick email or a quick phone call here. It's been a lot of communication, so I appreciate your time with that.
Yeah, and just to reemphasize what Kelvin mentioned in his introductory remarks, the staff has been just fantastic, and we couldn't remember all the names, but I remember Eric and Alex were helping from technology. I didn't catch their last names, but I mean, they were with us when we were doing the virtual meetings, particularly helpful, and of course, we did thank Nikki, Lisa, and Annie, and Dr. Marty's leadership as well. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you all very much. Okay, so with that all said, may I have a motion and a second that the Board of Education approve the leadership profile as developed by HYA and as presented and/or modified in the October 9th, 2024 board meeting materials?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 7-0. So we're approved. Tonight, we have no policy review nor reports. However, we have a work session. So I would like to invite Steve Jones, our Director of Transportation, to join us at the podium, and we're going to talk a little bit about transportation.
Good evening. First, I'm Steve Jones, Director of Transportation. This is Brian Broom, my Operations Manager. I first want to thank Dr. Marty, Jeff, Nikki Stover, and the rest of the board for giving us an opportunity to speak tonight. This is our program evaluation for transportation. Brian here is going to start with our first 4 questions we came up with.
All right, so our guiding questions, number 1 being, how does student behavior impact driver retention? Our second question is, how does student behavior impact bus safety? Our third question is the current response to inappropriate behavior improving student safety? And our fourth and final question is, how do we reinforce and support positive student behavior on the bus?
And how we're going to collect data on this, we're going to look at driver retention data, behavioral discipline data, bus safety incident reports, what drivers turn in as reports that they've done on children that misbehave on the bus, school core beliefs, values, what the school does in the schools, how they discipline their students if they're in the classroom and misbehaving. And then we're going to do surveys with student input and feedback, parent input and feedback, principal input and feedback, and also we're going to speak to our drivers with their input and feedback. And the reason, so the big thing why we want to do this is, like, today we had a student that it took 6 staff members to get him to the bus. The driver was very, very nervous to drive the student. So we got it worked out, but we're just trying to come up with some good ideas and plans to help the drivers with student behavior on the buses. And we are looking into how do they behave, or how do we prevent them to not misbehave before they get to the bus. Timeline, we started this in September. We wanted to present it to the board tonight in October. We're going to start our data collection next month in November, and we look to give the board a memo here in spring of 2025. Sorry. Questions or feedback?
Well, first off, thank you very much for putting this together. It sounds like a great outline to conduct this program evaluation. I have one question. Well, I have a couple of questions, and then I'll have an opportunity for everybody else to jump in. Your guiding questions. Who was involved with coming up with developing your guiding questions?
Brian, myself, Jason, and my safety manager, Connie Banion.
Good. I was hoping there was a safety manager involved, because I love seeing how student behavior impacts driver retention.
Yes.
The other thing that I'm concerned about, maybe not concerned is the right word, but that I'm interested in is how does student behavior affect actual driver function? So if a student throws something and it distracts the driver from doing their primary job, how do we train drivers? Is our training enough or appropriate for those types of situations? And then my other question is, could there be something that we look at to evaluate driver satisfaction? Not, I mean, I know it kind of goes along with retention. If a driver is happy to be in that role, then they're likely going to continue. But are there things that we can do to improve drivers', their satisfaction on the job, their job satisfaction?
So, yes, I mean, we will, I don't have an answer, but we will definitely look into that and get you an answer for both of them.
Yeah, I was gonna just interject that, I know, I see where you're coming from, but I do think that that's something in the work that I've been doing with Steve and Brian, that they started the school year trying to answer that question with regards to the satisfaction of the drivers, updating some of our processes to be more driver-friendly. So while I don't know that it fits directly within this targeted program evaluation, it's something that they're already doing on a day in and day out basis with their team. So driver satisfaction is an ongoing thing.
Sorry, a little nervous. It's my first time in front of the board.
Doing great.
That's my short time as the director so far, so I apologize if I'm a little nervous.
I was just going to mention, I know Kevin and I were in the subcommittee meeting and we
Yes, sir.
went over this, and I appreciate you looking into, and I know it kind of fits into the guiding question of what are we doing to curb the behavior before it starts?
Yes.
I think that could probably fit into, 2 or 3 of these. So I appreciate you, as you mentioned, looking into that.
Yes, sir.
I want to attach to that comment. Oftentimes when we're, right now as we're thinking about school safety, and there's also working with the parents. And I wonder if there could be, as we think about preventative or certainly communication, that we try to solicit the parents' understanding of why behavior is important on the bus for all kinds of reasons. And if we can really educate our parents to be partners in the work, I think that's something that's very, very important when we think about discipline and behavior.
Yes, sir. Agreed. I do have a positive note. We started the school year with 9 open routes. We have 0 as of today. Sorry, to change subject.
It's good information to share. Anyone else have any questions? Okay.
Great job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
so much. We look forward to hearing the report.
Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Thanks so much.
All right, that concludes our agenda tonight, so may I have a motion and a second to adjourn the regular meeting.
So moved.
So moved.
All in
Second.
favor? Aye. Aye opposed, motion carries 7-0. Thank you all for attending.